Hey, what's going on? This is Austin with Alpha Zen. Please remember to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or when I upload recorded videos. So I wanted to make this video on the 2022 Oscars and the infamous smack that Will Smith gave Chris Rock. And that's been making headlines everywhere. This newspapers, the social media, people are talking about it. Now, usually I don't cover celebrity gossip on my channel, but since this is involving Will Smith's wife, Jada, I think this is apropos. So I'm not going to like beat around the bush. I'll let you know my opinion of this. Right away, I think it was inappropriate for well, before I say that, let me just give you some context. So Chris Rock is a comedian. He's standing up there delivering jokes, and he starts a joke. And before doing that, he kind of sets the context by apologizing to Jada. And the joke was something around her being in the next G.I. Jane movie, which is an old movie, and I don't know if people really understand the reference. And the reason he brought that up was because that Jada is, she has bald hair. I mean, she's bald. Sorry, excuse me. She's bald. She has no hair. Demi Moore was in G.I. Jane, and she was bald too. So the joke wasn't that funny, or as I saw it, not even that offensive. But we learned that Jada has alopecia, which is a type of an autoimmune deficiency or issue, where she's not able to grow hair in certain parts of her body. So Will at first laughed at the joke, but then when he saw his wife wasn't laughing, Jada, he took issue with it by getting up, walking on stage, and bitch slapping Chris Rock. Then he went back, sat down, and started yelling at Chris Rock, saying, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth." Chris Rock just made a joke about it, saying that, this was a type of honor getting slapped by Will Smith, and then he just carried on. Later, Will Smith received an Oscar for one of the films he did regarding Selena and Venus Williams, I believe. King Richard. Now, as I was saying, this was a very disturbing situation in the sense that here you had Will jump up on stage and smack a comedian for telling a joke. Not a series of jokes, just one joke about Jada being in G.I. Jane Part 2. And as Chris told Will, it's just a G.I. Jane joke. That's all it is. Will smacking Chris was highly inappropriate and broke the law. He essentially assaulted Chris Rock. Now, this is the entertainment industry. And Jada is a public figure, so is Will Smith. And comedians will use you as the butt of their jokes. In fact, the British have their own type of humor I don't understand, but it's very, very demeaning, and it puts you down a lot. And I believe the Oscars a couple of years ago, I had a British comedian who hosted it, and he roasted a bunch of people, and consequently, he was never invited back. If you know anything about comedy, you can get roasted on certain days, which are, if you're roasted, those jokes are very, very, can be offensive. But you take it, on the cheek, because it's comedy. Chris Rock was doing his job. He's a comedian. He's up there to tell jokes. You cannot slap somebody every time they tell a joke that you find inappropriate or offensive. What kind of world would we live in? And Will getting up and slapping Chris for telling a joke about his wife was more than just a joke. You see, over the past 2 years, Will has been emasculated by Jada in her so-called Red Table Talks, where she talks about their open marriage, how she loves Tupac, how she had an affair with this young boy named August, on and on and on and on. And I think this situation was the straw that broke the camel's back. Will had had enough, so he goes up there to smack Chris Rock. Now, remember, Chris Rock and him had a friendship, or had a history. Chris Rock was on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But again, what's so disturbing it was that Will assaulted a comedian doing his job. But here's the point and why I'm putting this on my channel. If you go back and watch the video, and I highly recommend you do, Will Smith actually laughed at the joke. He thought it was funny. And because he didn't get it, I don't think he got it. Or maybe he did, but he initially laughed at the joke. It was only when he looked at Jada and she had this disapproval expression on her face did he feel he had to stand up for her honor. And maybe in her eyes, gain some type of masculinity back, because all she's been talking about is other men, specifically Tupac, and how more of a man he is. So I guess Will had saw it as protecting her honor. But what he did on the stage in front of the world was to make himself look bad and to make himself seem like the pit bull for his wife. And it seemed like a simp. Men, let me tell you this. I used to date a woman who brought me nothing but trouble. Every time I turn around, she had some type of issue where she wanted me to intervene. Some guy pushed her on the train. Another guy said something to her in the street and she wanted me to intervene. There's a proper way to handle things. And in the case of Jada, Will needs to check her as a man. If he had checked her a long time as a man, these type of jokes wouldn't be coming up. These type of scenarios and situations wouldn't be happening. And he wouldn't have felt so emasculated. Again, this is not just about a joke. He's tired. He is tired of just being in the public's eye and being emasculated by Jada. And that's a situation, again, that he has to check with Jada. And going around and assaulting people because they tell a joke about his public open marriage is ridiculous. But this is what women will do when they can control you and manipulate you emotionally. What Will should have did was to stand up and be a man and laugh it off. And then during the commercial break, walk over to Chris Rock and say, hey man, I didn't appreciate that. Don't ever make a joke like that again. Or even after the Oscars, walk up to Chris and say that. Later on that night, Will received the Oscar for King Richard. When he made his acceptance speech, he apologized to the Academy and the people present, but never apologized to his audience or fans or the global community. And he did one of the worst things you can do as a man, was to cry. And I'm going to tell you this, how I feel. Him and Jada, Chris Rock, and all those people in Hollywood are some of the most egotistical, backward, stuck-up people you'll ever meet in your entire life. I don't care about any of them. Specifically, Will. Cry me a river. You make millions of dollars every year. You can get a table at the most expensive restaurants. Your wife wears the most expensive dresses. I don't want to hear about no pressure you're under or stress you're under. Please. And for him as a man to go on that pulpit at the Oscars and start crying shows you how emasculated he is, shows you how emotionally confused he is. A real man would have sat there, laughed it off, and addressed it after the award ceremony. Going up there and slapping Chris Rock shows you have no emotional control. It shows that you allow your woman to dictate your emotions based on how she feels. And she can use you as a pit bull anytime she believes someone gets out of pocket. This was a disgusting display by Will Smith, and I lost a lot of respect for him. Guys, don't let your woman do this to you. You set the frame of how things are going to go. And you have to always remember, your woman doesn't belong to you. It's not your girl, it's just your turn. This is Austin with Alpha Zen. See you in my next video.